Hello and welcome everyone to today's Women's Health Tech Wednesday. I am your host for today. My name is Ansley Bowen. I'm the Community Development Manager at HitLab. Before I introduce our guest today, I just wanted to go over a couple of quick announcements. We have our New York City Health Innovation Week coming up in May. Tickets are on sale now, so you can use the QR code or you can also check the link out in the chat. We also have our Hit Lab Breakthrough Alliance Challenge. We're accepting applications till April 12th. So make sure if you have any digital health solution that you make sure you apply to have a chance to win. We also have our Age Tech Collaborative from AARP Challenge that is open now. The pitch competition will begin in June. So make sure you apply using the link below. And also we have our March Symposium coming up at the end of the month, talking about nourishing hearts and minds and also reviewing the HIMSS and Vive conference. Make sure you also scan the QR code or check the link out in the chat. And without further ado, I would love to welcome our guest, Amy West, who is the head of the U.S. Digital Transformation and Innovation at Novo Nordisk. Amy, thank you so much for being with us here today. If you could start off by giving a quick introduction to our audience.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here today. I've been looking forward to this. A little background on me. I have been in the pharma space for over 25 years, quite a long time. For the last 15 years, I've been at Novo Nordisk, and I've had primarily a commercial background, but the last probably 5 years or so, I've been really focusing on the innovation space, which encompasses digital and technology, but also it could potentially be a non-technical, high-touch type of innovation as well. But I lead an organization called the Digital Transformation and Innovation Team, and in essence, we are an internal innovation incubator. Our name it's the APIS Labs. And we are focused on how do we drive innovation for our customers based on their pain points when it comes to managing their health and wellness. And, I really enjoy the whole pharma industry, especially this innovation space, because on top of all of this, I'm a patient myself. And I have some chronic health challenges and things that I'm managing and dealing with. And I see that innovation, digital technology, and other areas has a lot of promise to make dealing with these health conditions much easier for myself, but also many other people at scale. So I'm very excited to be talking with you today. This is an area obviously very near and dear to my heart.
Yes, thank you again so much for your time today, Amy. I know we have a lot to cover and kind of dive into from all of your experience, but I just kind of wanted to start off by asking you if there has been a pivotal moment or experience from your career that you feel like has significantly shaped your approach to healthcare innovation.
There isn't any one specific pivotal moment. I would I think about it more from a trend standpoint, and really, what we've seen in this space over the last 5 years plus maybe, is this rise of consumerism in healthcare. And with technology and the digital space really driving those transformations in other industries, whether it's financial services or retail or travel and leisure, these advancements have really put the control of what you're looking for into the hands of the individual consumer. And healthcare has, been a laggard in that space. And so seeing the opportunities that we have now to really drive change, to drive a more personal experience, understanding our customers on a more individualized basis and being able to meet their needs better. And again, at scale, that's really where I see the opportunity that we have with digital and technology in the healthcare space.
Yeah, and absolutely. And that was kind of going to lead into my next question was trying to understand how you prioritize empathy when understanding that patients are individuals, consumers are individuals, when you are developing these digital health solutions. So how do you keep empathy at the top of your priority when you are developing all these solutions?
So we very much take an outside in approach
Mhm.
to what we're developing, meaning really not just saying it, but truly taking that customer centric, human centric design approach to
Mhm.
our solutioning. And it's it's trying to marry up from a pharma standpoint, our expertise, which is the science, with that human experience. And, for a long time, it's just been pure science, which is great, very important, and that's not going to change. But we really do need to add in the color to this portrait now that shows that a person, one individual with these clinical data points might look the same as somebody else from a clinical standpoint, but
Mhm.
when you look at them as a human being, you'll see that, one is a single mom with 3 kids working 2 jobs, and the other person is, a 50-year-old man with, a wife and kids and, traveling a lot. So again, it adds that color. And
Mhm.
when you understand that color to the portrait, you can better understand where that person is coming from and what their needs are going to be
Right.
when they're looking for answers or getting their healthcare, engaging with their healthcare treatment team, what have you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And considering how the healthcare landscape is so rapidly evolving, what inspires you to focus on these digital and innovation strategies at Novo Nordisk? What do you feel like has been the most focus as well in terms of your innovation strategies this past year?
Again, it really comes back to the human component.
Hmm.
Now that we're able to capture more information about our customers, beyond just the again, the clinical data points or name and address. Obviously, any data that we use has to be, you know, within the HIPAA constraints and things like that.
Right.
But, we're able to capture these attributes that we haven't used before, things like the social determinants of health considerations.
Hmm.
We know that, what statistics show that over 80% of what influences a person's ability to engage in their health and wellness sits outside the traditional clinic setting.
Hmm.
So it is all things like the environment in which you live, your physical environment, your social influencers, your behaviors, your motivations,
Hmm.
and your lifestyle choices. So the more we can understand that, and that we have broader data now, we're able to capture some of that information and add it to our clinical data sets. And that's what's really helping us, I think, accelerate our opportunities to solve for our customers in a way that's going to better suit their needs and their preferences.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love how that you really, you have to take into account all these different factors that are so outside of the clinic, like you mentioned, and really be able to evolve and be innovative with your new strategies, taking all of those different changes into consideration. And on the topic of change as well, being comfortable with change and risk has to be one of your strengths. So can you share some a specific instance where navigating these challenges led to a meaningful and impactful, like real world solution that you went through?
Sure. I think in general, pharma as an industry, we are risk averse because it's so critical. The products that we're developing, they can have
Mhm.
life and death implications. It's so important that we mitigate risk as much as possible. But at
Right.
times that can also be limiting. And we have processes for managing all of that.
Mhm.
And we don't want to change those things it's working, right? But as we see the healthcare ecosystem evolving and changing and understanding that our patient customers as well as our healthcare professional customers, they have different expectations now, or they have
Mhm.
different preferences. And so the way we've always done things isn't necessarily going to enable us to solve the way we have in the past. So we
Right.
need to change. And so, in my personal experience, I come from really the commercial marketing background of the organization, which in pharma tends to be a very large and very well-resourced area of the enterprise because it's very important to get the word
Mhm.
out appropriately and,
Right.
all of those things. But, I saw this opportunity a number of years ago with what was happening with technology, digital data, and the need to really fold that into solutions that are going to, again, better
Mhm.
serve our customer needs. And so making that move into this not well understood space because it was outside our traditional way of doing things, and
Mhm.
starting to build up a unit that is going to be solely dedicated to testing potential disruptive solutions that
Mhm.
may or may not come to market was a big risk for me personally, in that, it's a much smaller organization, it's not resourced as well, but we've been able to prove out there are some opportunities and solutions that we've been able to expand throughout the organization, and we've been able to infuse some of these innovative methodologies for rapid test and learn, rapid decision making throughout other areas of the business. So that's been it's been a challenge. It
Mhm.
continues to be a challenge, but you've got to just keep working at it. And
Mhm.
we're always going to make sure that we're managing our risk appropriately. But
Right.
there are different ways that we can think about our approach to solving for our customers.
Yeah, and kind of, what you were talking about is sometimes there is no reward without that risk that you have to take. And so being in the innovation space, you kind of that's what it's all about is there's a change that you need to make, and sometimes it's a risk, but it actually can be a strength in the end of it, because once you navigate through all of that and end up making a really meaningful impact, I feel like the risk becomes worth it at the very end of that. So
Yeah.
that's great to learn more about like how your career and like what your strengths are with that, and how you kind of navigate through those different challenges. And kind of moving on to a separate portion of what I wanted to talk about with you today is that you are part of our Hit Labs Women Health Tech Initiative board. And so I wanted to ask you what motivated you to join the board, and how does it align with your overall mission as well with healthcare innovation?
So I've been involved with the Hit Lab in general for many years now, and I've gotten to know Stan Kashnowski really well. He's been a wonderful supporter, educator, mentor to me over the years, and really helped me as I was transitioning from that primary commercial focus into this more innovation space. So he's really been a huge mentor to me in that respect. And through that relationship, I've gotten to have these opportunities to get involved with the Women's Health Tech Initiative, which again, kind of going back to what I said originally, I'm a patient myself.
Mhm.
And I have experienced gender bias in the past when I've gone to the doctor's office.
Mhm.
And that's just on a very small scale. When you look at more broadly around, some of the inequities that we see with women of color or
Mhm.
other cohorts, it's been underserved, and history shows that we're not represented well when it comes to the clinical trial data. I think women were only required to be included in clinical trials since 1993.
Mhm.
So there's a huge gap there,
Right.
and anything that we can do to now accelerate remove getting more information and being able to remove that gap, the better. And I think that's where things like the Women's Health Tech Initiative and their focus on these technology companies, either at the startup stage or more mature, that are really
Mhm.
focused on supporting women's health, whether it is family planning or reproductive health, and even things like the fact that you know women for the most part are what we used to call the CMO of their family, the chief marketing
Right.
officer, or the chief medical officer of their family. They're the ones that are doing the research. They're the ones that are taking the kids to the doctor. They're the ones that are staying on top of it more so than others in the
Mhm.
family. And so it's really important that we are providing the best information, not just for their own health, but for the health of their family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we really do appreciate you, Amy, too, for all of the stuff that you do for our board and helping, really emphasize the fact that we are wanting to make more initiatives and more innovation in the women's health tech space. And as a leader, what unique perspectives and expertise do you feel like you bring to the board to contribute to advancing women's health technology?
Well, like I said, 25 years in this space, in pharma, has a lot to, there's a lot of learnings to share there,
Mhm.
especially, from the pharma perspective. I mean, there are a lot of players in the healthcare ecosystem, and pharma is an important player there, and how we are focused on solving for our customers' problems, and how we are managing, those portfolios and things like that are, I think, important insights when we think about, the bigger picture here.
Mhm.
And I also think that, from where I sit, I've actually had experience working in the women's health categories. I also work in spaces like diabetes and obesity, which
Mhm.
are obviously men and women alike have these disease states. So I understand, the the customer experience, the personas of the individuals that we're hoping to be able to better support. So I think I can bring a lot of that to the table and share that with others who are coming. We're there for a united purpose, but we have different backgrounds and different skills and expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you also kind of share an instance where your involvement in the board has also led to positive outcomes or advancements directly in women's health?
Well, I think what I always think about, it's hard to like pinpoint, okay, this
Mhm.
did exactly that. But what has been, I think, really meaningful for me, and I would say for others on the board, is at the end of the day, it comes down to the people. So being
Okay.
able to meet and connect, discuss,
Mhm.
share, spar spar on the different points of view, what you would prioritize and why. You have to make trade-offs when you're focusing on, where are we going to focus our efforts for this challenge, or what's an underserved area. And there are so many, but it's great to kind of come together and have those
Mhm.
conversations about what we believe we should be prioritizing or prioritizing or backburnering in light of the different perspectives. And it really makes you think about things very differently. And again, it's, when people talk, great things happen. So
Mhm.
I think that is really one of the most beneficial aspects of it, is the knowledge sharing and the arguments that are made to decide on which direction we're going to go in and why,
Right.
and maybe back burner something for later, or it maybe comes off the table altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. So the collaboration of all the different leaders in the field bring all their different expertise together in order to really be able to make these innovative changes and solutions for the women's health tech field. So I love that. And again, I really appreciate all that you do and all your support for the Women's Health Tech Initiative here at Hit Lab. And then how do you see the intersection of digital innovation, women's health, and what opportunities do you envision for these advancements in this field in the future?
I think what I really like about this is, again, marrying the technology with the human experience.
Mhm.
And so things like, if you are in the femtech space and you're developing a solution, make sure that you are consulting a woman. You're taking
Right.
that human-centric design approach and bringing those things together. I think in the past, you could argue that some of these solutions, if they're being developed by a male,
Right.
they're coming at it from the male perspective. Get your audience involved, and have them be a part of the solution. You're going to have a much better chance, of solving for them in a way that's actually going to be usable and of value to them, that will then bring that shared value back to the business or the technology or whatever. And then, so again, it's that intersection of technology and the human
Mhm.
experience. These things must go
Absolutely.
together. And I think that in the technology space, when it comes to healthcare, it's very easy to get, glamored by the shiny objects. Oh,
Right.
AI, generative AI. What are we going to
Right.
do? That, well, those are enablements. Those are modalities to get to some type of a solution. Make sure you're solving for the right problem. And if in
Mhm.
order to do that, if you're in femtech, you must consult the women and get them involved.
Absolutely. And I do feel like we have seen, at least in the past year, a lot of new initiatives that are really bringing more of that human approach, whether it's like different apps or medical devices, but they really do try to bring more of that human, definitely that like woman's touch to the different initiatives that they have. And I feel like it's definitely made a difference just in terms of just the comfortability that women can feel by, making sure they're going to the right solution or potentially provider that's going to listen to them and really take all their needs into consideration and relate to them on a more personal level. So I
Yes.
definitely feel like that human centric, definitely that woman's voice and perspective makes a huge difference in these initiatives and everything that are coming out for women's health. So
It goes a
definitely,
long way. It goes a long
yes.
way.
Absolutely. And so kind of on that topic of being an advocate for women, how are you also an advocate for being for inclusivity and diversity in the development of women's health technologies to ensure a comprehensive and more equitable approach as well?
Well, again, I think it kind of goes back to, I'm always going to espouse a human-centric approach to
Mhm.
everything. You've got to start with the human being. I know that there are a lot of really cool things that we want to do. There's great science out there, but if we're not solving for the right problem, you could run the risk of spending a lot of time, money, and effort in something that isn't going to deliver the value and
Mhm.
the outcome that you're looking for. And so getting, including the audience voice, whoever, whether it's a man or a woman, whatever you're solving for, make sure you're making them a part of that solution.
Right.
And by doing that, you're able to then, tailor to the unique needs of the individual as best possible, the unique needs of diverse groups. And that I think goes a long way to support that diversity and inclusion. So really,
Absolutely.
again, going back to that human-centric design mentality and approach first.
Mhm. Absolutely. And this is kind of more just a question that I'm interested in because you do have that marketing background. How do you feel like it's the best way there is to promote just awareness and the initiatives that benefit women's health? Because not everyone can always be involved in a board, not everyone is always involved directly in women's health. So how can we, at least as, a community, promote awareness and drive initiatives?
There are a lot of things. I mean, obviously, huge opportunities with social media these days.
Mhm.
And, so I feel like social media can be a very much a double-edged sword. We've
Yes.
all seen and heard it's all over the place now, not to mention the fact that got the deep fakes going on and misinformation. So you have to be really
Mhm.
careful. But, one of the good things is that social media can really distribute and scale the information and accelerate
Mhm.
access very quickly and start a movement. And so I think that, trying to leverage those technology channels are really good, but then also on a from a low tech standpoint, going out into the communities and supporting different community groups, whether it's a community center or a church or
Mhm.
local businesses, getting involved in the community and spreading the word that way is another really good
Yeah.
grassroots way to support the diffusion of information.
I love that you said that also because I feel like a very typical answer can almost be social media when you think of marketing or promoting. But I like how you really remind us that you can also do stuff in the community. Before social media was around, how did you get the word around? How did you promote all these different initiatives? And you go to the community first, right? You give them the support, the examples, like you go directly to the community, get their feedback through there. And then at that point, it becomes word of mouth. And sometimes word of mouth can be even more influence and promoting than social media can. So
Well, yeah,
I
especially, and
agree with that.
I do think, trust factor is
Mhm.
an issue with certain communities based on historic um, challenges that have been out there. And so, the African American community don't always trust the doctor or the healthcare provider, but they trust their community leaders more so. And so that's a good
Mhm.
place to start. And I'm not saying that's across the board, but that is just a really important way to highlight that, you got to work with the communities and with the people that they trust
Right.
and build those relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that the collaboration with the community, collaboration with social media, collaboration with just the general healthcare landscape is huge when you're trying to, increase these initiatives for women's health. And specifically, how do you feel like you can balance that being a leader through influence and collaboration while still making sure that you stay true to your vision?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I feel like I'm learning all the time,
Hmm.
and one of the things that we do, it's a part of our DNA and our lab work that we do. It's always testing, and
Hmm.
we do the iterative testing so that we can see if something works or not, if a channel is working or not, if a prototype that we're working on has appeal, but we're doing it in a way that is managing the risk because we're not spending a lot of time, money, and effort
Hmm.
to build out something if we don't even know if the people that we're designing it for even want to use it or whatever. And so whether you're developing a prototype or a marketing campaign or some other solution, that test and learn approach is a great way
Hmm.
to kind of marry the innovation approach with the potential to scale a solution and roll it out to a broader audience without spending a lot of time, money, and effort on things that
Right.
might might not prove out.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And I know we were almost at time here, so I wanted to make sure I get two more questions in there for you, Amy. Looking ahead, what are your aspirations for the future of digital transformation and innovation, and how do you plan to continue to making a positive impact on patient experience and outcomes?
Well, my personal hope and aspiration for the future of digital transformation innovation, it's big. It would be how can we shift the paradigm in the US in particular, but even
Mhm.
globally, from a sick care model to a well care model? How can we start to drive more a preventive health and wellness approach to healthcare versus treating a problem,
Right.
treating it when it's acute, treating it when it's too far down the road. How
Hmm.
can we intervene earlier? And I think we can get there with these types of innovations, with the data, with the digital and the technology, and the ability to scale that to people that haven't been able to access it. So it's down the road, but that is my hope, really, to again, and that's gonna support better quality of life, better health outcomes, and even in cost, cost of care. We can prevent these,
Yeah.
expensive things from happening. That's going to benefit everybody as well.
Mhm. Well, I love that, taking it from being a sick model healthcare to being more of a well model healthcare
Yeah.
plan. So I love that. Thank you so much for that, Amy. And as the last question to wrap this up, those of you who have watched a lot of our Women's Health Tech Wednesday sessions, I know that this is Nina's favorite question. So in place of me today, I was going to ask you this as well. What are your words of advice for your younger self? If you could tell yourself anything when you were younger, what do you feel like it would be?
I mean, personally, I would be stop worrying so much. And you know what? You can plan all you want, but it's going to change. So, again, I think that's why I've always been pretty good with change. Is like I would have a plan, but then it was like, oh, that's going to pivot and change or whatever. Now I could do that. So, um, but worrying about those types of things just wasted energy. So stop
Right.
worrying so much and just go with the flow.
I love that. I love that, especially from a type A personality where I feel like I have to be in control of everything. Sometimes,
Yeah,
you just have to let it go and the change will happen when it happens. And hopefully, it's
yeah,
either for the better. And if not, you still learn lessons along the way. So thank you so much,
exactly.
Amy. It was an amazing to talk to you for the 30 minutes. I can't believe we're already at time.
I
But
know.
thank you so, so much for all that you do for HitLab, for the Women's Health Tech Board, and for just the future of innovation. So thank you so much, Amy. It
Thank
was great to have
you.
you.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. And as we wrap up, I just wanted to quickly go through announcements really quickly again. We have our New York City Health Innovation Week coming up in May. The tickets are on sale now. You can scan the QR code. We also have our Breakthrough Alliance Challenge, and it's open until April 12th. So make sure you get any of your applications in if you have an innovative solution. We also have our Age Tech Collaborative AARP Challenge. Applications are open now for the pitch in June, so make sure you apply using the link in the chat. We also have our March symposium coming up at the end of March. Make sure you tune into that. You can send the QR code or the link as well. Make sure you join us next week for our next chat. And we would like to thank our sponsors, FF Enterprises and Goodwin. And thank you so, so much, Amy, again, for taking your time today to be on Women's Health Tech Wednesday and all that you do. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.